Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you joining me today. In the past few months, Intel, Microsoft, Google, and many other companies have been cutting tens of thousands of roles. And they're not doing it because the professionals are bad or because they're failing, but because AI is making it cheaper to replace you. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening in the job market, how it's shifting under your feet, the 5 biggest threats and opportunities that are happening right now for you, and most importantly, how to stay on top of it, how to make sure that you thrive, and how to make sure that you don't get left behind. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing is that, interestingly enough, since 2024, entry level positions have been getting eliminated. It's just been a straight up collapse. What's crazy is actually going back to 2024, middle of 2024, 70% of hiring managers believe that AI could do an intern's job or an entry level job. So I'm not necessarily speaking about, maybe entry level salary jobs here, or it's very even role specific, but internships are definitely disappearing. And not only do 70% of hiring managers believe that, but there's also just straight up 11% total lesser intern postings when comparing year over year to 2025 to 2024. And so this is really where, I don't know if you've heard Salesforce talk about this digital labor, or in various companies talk about headcount arbitrage, or those sorts of terms. But that's what we're looking at here. And so really, this is going to be targeting a few different audiences. And even while this is seeming like it's focusing on newer, younger people, it's also potentially affecting the older generation as well. And so it's really going to affect people that are high school graduates, college graduates, of all levels, right? So whether you are talking associates, bachelor's, master's, PhD, or people that are transitioning careers into something that's less adjacent than it would be. So where if you were to say that sales and marketing, there's probably a lot of transferable skills. But if you were to try to go from sales into IT, where there's a lot less transferable skills, this is even going to impact you as well. So that's sort of the scope of people that are being impacted by this move. And you can understand why, right? You don't have any real world experience. You are potentially going to provide minimal value. You're going to require a lot of investment. And for better or worse, that is just the state of the union. And so, really, what this does is displaces everybody in these categories. So, I want to stop the fear mongering. I don't want you to be scared. And instead, I want you to be empowered. So, here's how we do that. So the big thing to understand is that the biggest separator from you and your competition and other people is going to be your self-initiation, your mindset, your grit, your ability to power through challenge. And so while you are in college, while you are in high school, or even while you're making the transition, you should be not only performing the education needed to finish those things up, or any education needed for the career that you're intending. But you should also be looking to do two things. One is, as I've said in multiple videos now in a row, augment your AI skills, learn to interact with it, learn prompt engineering, learn to build projects and agentic workflows, and really level up your game there. But the more important one is get the experience. So while you are potentially in college taking your accounting degree, try and start freelancing, right? Look for a small business owner and, hey, can I do your books? Go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, go on these kind of consulting and freelancing gigs. Post on your LinkedIn that this is what you're open to doing, right? Ask to do the work for free, right? Look for small business owners either in your area or affiliated with your college that might have a small business program or something, and just say, hey, do you mind if I do your books for free? And even if it's like, hey, I don't necessarily need you to pay me or use my work, but what I would love to do is to have you give me what you are giving your accountant or something like that, and have me do the work and get thoughts on it. And all I ask is you give me the information I need to do my job, and you give me feedback accordingly. So we're talking maybe an hour a month or 2 hours a month, something like that, if you would be willing to invest that in me, or ideally getting some actual freelancing gigs. So those are kind of your two initial action plans. One is, like I said, level up with AI, because AI will augment you. It will add years of experience to your capabilities. And two, get some self-initiated experience, some drive, some grit, and go out there and look for freelancing, look for, open source projects, look for partnerships, things like that, that even if you're doing it for free because you're still in school or because you're transitioning careers. So again, we use the example of sales to IT. While you're still in sales, maybe getting your initial certifications and things, start looking for opportunities on, like I said, Fiverr, Upwork, or internships, or if there are any available, whatever it might be. and even people in your network that might be for small businesses and ask to be able to do things for free and get that real world experience to document onto your resume. Second, big bucket of what to do here is looking at overall actual certifications. Think of micro credentials, right? Like if you're in college, degrees are great, but what's actually really cool is when I my lovely semester and a half of college that I took was at an associate's. It was a community college, getting my associates. But the college actually based the exact IT curriculum on 5 major certifications in the IT industry. So not only could you walk out with an IT degree, but if you put that together, that's what their curriculum was based off of, then you could actually immediately go get 5 different certifications as well. So you are a 20-year-old, assuming you did it in 2 years, graduating with an associate's degree, 5 certifications, and assuming you did student loans and everything, right, you're a few grand in debt, right? But you have a bunch of credentials, and those micro credentials go a long way. So look for those opportunities out there, not just the big things like the degrees, but while you're in college, get certifications. When you're in high school, that's actually where I got my certifications, is while I was in high school. And then as soon as I hit the ground running, I was 16, I went for Geek Squad. So I had real world experience plus certifications and paperwork to like actual credentials. By the time I turned 18, boom, and allowed me to skyrocket. So look at things. I'm a huge advocate of Udemy Premium or Coursera or Google Learning, right? These things that are very subscription based, you're talking 20, maybe 20 to $50 a month. And little hack here, I think I've heard of people getting away with this, is you can actually slightly pad your student loan to account for that and actually have the student loan pay for it. And it's an extra few $100, not a big deal. But if you're also working while you're doing these things, so if you are, in high school doing a work when you're 16, 17, 18, if you're in college and, maybe doing, a barista or customer service work or things like this, right? Like use that money to pay for education and get credentials and augmentation along the way. That will then feed into the freelancing and open source and partnership projects that we just talked about, right? Because now you could say, hey, I'm an accounting student. I'm certified in QuickBooks with this, this, and this. I'd love to do your projects, right? Like I'd love to do some work for free for you, right? So this is how you can parlay that and continue to prove yourself and not just say, well, I'm a student and that's it. But you could say, look, I'm credentialed and I'm a student and I'm learning. I'd love to do this work, and just stack, 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 stack. And then when you graduate, you actually are there. And then the last thing is honestly going to be networking. I know that some people are kind of tired of hearing this, but joining industry Slack groups, industry Discord groups, LinkedIn, looking at local meetups and events and things like that, it's invaluable. There's a reason why a classic saying is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And really what you're trying to do with these people is to connect with people either in the industry or in the line of work that you're in, or maybe in leadership in the line of work you're trying to do. And by building these relationships, you're able to keep your ear to the ground as to what the desires are, what the companies are looking for, and stay ahead of these trends. And like I said, you come out of college not being like, I'm internship ready, but you're coming out of college, coming out of high school, or coming out of that public advertising, the career transition to, I am a veteran ready, right? That's the mindset you're trying to achieve. The degree isn't going to get you there. Certifications will help get you there, but again, they're not going to do it on their own. But getting that experience and that networking and just putting yourself out there, that's what's going to allow you to ultimately close that gap and make sure that if you are an early career professional, that you're going to be as well off as you can be, if I could speak. The last kind of bonus thing I'm going to say here, and some of you are not going to like this, but when it comes to going to college, pick a degree that's valuable. Okay. Don't take it in 1900s German, dance studies. Like I'm just throwing out hypotheticals and that is a hyperbolic example. I don't even know if it's a real degree. I'll be the first to throw that asterisk, but get a degree in something useful. Get it in accounting, get it in technology, get it in a type of engineering, mechanical, biomedical, etc. Get it in law, in doctor, medical, healthcare. It's like, get it in something that results in an actual ROI. And that's if you're even going to college. And even then, I would on the front end do some research. What are the alternatives to college, right? And looking at degrees and apprenticeships. And I will also please look at blue collar jobs. Blue collar jobs are the killer right now in such a good way. They are great opportunities for entrepreneurship. They're great opportunities for acquisition of baby boomers retiring. And they're great opportunities for future because they are the farthest away from being impacted by AI versus anything white collar. Unequivocally, no questions asked. So they are the safest, one of the highest paying, one of the fastest routes. One of my favorite kind of studies that they did was if you were to take a plumber from 18 years old and someone who's intending to be a brain surgeon from 18 years old and track their lifetime earnings, okay? The doctor, the surgeon, does not surpass lifetime earnings until over the age of 55. And that is because of the amount of debt and the residency requirements and the early career level requirements and pay that come with the medical career, as an example. So, what we traditionally think of as something that's super, super high paying. And here's the thing, that's just factoring in actual dollars and money earned, because it takes over 30 years to get that where your salary and your overall net take home pay year over year is higher into your early to mid 50s for being the doctor. If you correctly invest that money you made as a blue collar worker, the doctor never catches up, literally does not catch up before you die, because you have compounding interest and compounding earns for over 30 years. Okay. Bonus tip. All right. So quick recap. AI is displacing entry-level workers, which are going to be high school grads, college grads, and people transitioning careers into something new. You want to mitigate this by seeking out certifications while you are in education still. So while you're in high school, while you are employed looking to do your transition, or while you are in college. You want to try to also, while alongside that, start doing some freelancing, start doing some partnerships, identify small businesses around you or identify entrepreneurs around you and do work for free for them. And use LinkedIn, Slack, Discord, etc. To connect and network with people in the line of work you're going for. That is how you come out of education being the top of market, not the bottom or middle of market. All right. Second trend, AI is being normalized. Really, honestly, across, ironically, from the consumer side. That's the piece I want to shift your brain on here. Is everybody knows that AI is the craze and the buzzword when it comes to the corporate and enterprise side of the equation. But it's actually becoming the norm on the consumer side, because there have been so many customers from these big companies, when you think Amazon, Salesforce, Microsoft, etc., right, that are interacting with AI, whether it be for support, whether it be because they're paying for Microsoft products that come with AI built in, or whatever it might be, that the consumer is realizing the efficiency gains and the quality results that are coming with AI as it advances. And so now the customers are expecting AI level efficiency and efficacy in the interactions with companies. And so this is creating that positive reinforcement cycle for companies for doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on AI. And so this means that if you are a professional who is resisting AI tools, you are going to be screwed quickly. You will be outdated. You will be deemed high maintenance. You will have a negative connotation to the association of your name merely by existing. Okay. And so this is really heavily focusing on at the moment, because we're talking about the customer side here. We're talking about customer facing roles. And I'm not necessarily meaning sales here, but I'm meaning customer service, even to some degree, account management, transportation, medicine. I forget the telehealth, right? As like a variation of the healthcare and medicine one, right? These roles where humans are interacting with support, with software, with ordering, again, transportation, things like that. People are becoming used to it. You know, you have one of the things that I find with transportation is I'm not just referring to the systems and hubs where maybe you're buying tickets and having support issues, but also driving themselves, right? You got Waymo for driverless taxis. You got Elon and Tesla working on autonomous cars. Multitude of other companies doing the same, right? And customers are becoming more and more comfortable and less hesitant in some of these low-hanging fruit for AI. So what does this mean, right? The first piece of action that I'm going to give you, pick out one thing every day. that you are going to use AI to either do, solve, or make you do it better, augment your capabilities. This can be anything. This can be writing an email. This can be researching something in the market. This can be brainstorming ideas and strategies. It could be organizing data. It doesn't matter what it is. But the thing is the more that you learn to interact with AI consistently and in the more varied scenarios, the more comfortable you will be with no matter what. You need to disassociate yourself with any form of AI hesitancy and having a negative approach there. Now, this doesn't mean, like everything else in the entire professional workforce of all time, that you approach it with critical thinking, right? It doesn't mean that you're just like, well, AI is everything. No, but it means that for you to get past the fear and the hesitancy and the resistance, that you need to become comfortable with it. And you do that by picking one thing a day, at least, right? Again, if you pick one thing a day, imagine where you're at a year from now with 365 tasks completed. Now imagine you start to actually get comfortable and you're like, holy smokes, this is freaking sweet. And then you ramp up to 5 a day, 10 a day, 15 a day. Like, I can honestly say, I am pretty sure in my life, it has been more than 2 years consecutively that since I've gone a day without using AI, unless it was like a digital detox. Because I definitely do those from time to time where you just fully disconnect all electronics, go analog. Highly recommend, by the way. If you want maybe to have an idea of what that looks like, leave a comment down below and I will kind of maybe do a video on what my digital detox process looks like. But don't want to waste a bunch of time and digress. Not necessarily also just interacting with AI, but learn AI integrations, right? So a lot of people, whether you are in accounting and using things like QuickBooks or Sage or Dynamics, or you're in the IT world and you're using project management or ticketing systems and things like that, right? It doesn't matter what your line of work is. There's probably an AI tool that either integrates with something you already use and are comfortable with, that you can experiment with. They'll have a free tier, or again, building out projects and agents within some of the tools that are already out there that most people know: ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, etc. But the integration piece is a big one. So that way you're already within a platform that you're very comfortable with and you know how to do things within it. Learning to interact with AI and integrate into those things and seeing what it's capable of as you brain dump what you know about it, right? So I'm a big fan of the 3Ds: document, demonstrate, delegate. Okay. So if you can document to AI, meaning giving it an exact SOP step by step with no ambiguity, you can demonstrate, meaning you can provide it the example results of what it's intended to come out with. Then 3, you can delegate to AI. And now your month-end reconciliations in QuickBooks, or your automated ticketing responses and closures based off of status or things like that can automatically be done. Communications with end users or support issues can automatically be resolved, right? So learn to integrate AI with your actual applications you are using, not just you interacting with them from the web portal perspective. Okay. And then the last thing, be public about your AI learnings. Again, remember who I said this impacts. This is going to impact the professionals that, I don't care what your age or background is, that are AI resistant and hesitant. Okay. So by you publicly sharing your AI learnings, both the good and the bad, it's going to make you become an AI authority within your company. And when you factor in the fact that companies are looking to AI heavily, they're experimenting heavily, the expectations of usage is enormous, since that's the whole part of this trend, is that customers are now accepting it. And guess who determines what a company does? It's customers. Okay. That you are going to be able to tell your colleagues and peers and things like that, hey, here's what I find that's working. This is killer. It's making this streamlined. Do you want me to show you how? Do you want me to show you the project that I built? Would this project help you, or could we adapt it to helping you in your workflow? Write blog articles, post on LinkedIn, like whatever it might be, right? But publicly shout your successes and your failures on AI publicly. Okay. So again, I think that was a quick recap, so I don't necessarily need to do that there at the end. All right. Trend number 3 that I'm seeing and how to overcome this, right, is there's a rise in what I am calling AI-augmented expertise. That's my best term I got going on right now. But this is really, there's a lot of areas where human expertise is relevant. Creative thinking, things like that, where think healthcare, education, law, even repair and troubleshooting, right? To where like let's think of something very interesting, right? So it is uncommon that you will have an AI give you the step of turn your computer off and turn it on. So restart your computer is a troubleshooting step. But yet, how many of you out there have restarted your computer or restarted your phone or unplugged an electronic and plugged it back in? Whatever it might be, right? Something so basic, so simple, and it solves so many problems. Okay. So using AI to amplify your expertise, what you already know. If you are ever in a situation where imagine I came to you and I said, the job you're doing right now, by the end of the week, you can no longer do. You must do a different job. I don't care what that job is, but you have to do another job within this company, and we want you here. Whenever you're running through that process of kind of how to document, demonstrate, delegate, whenever you encounter a thought of like, oh, if only you knew what I know, like if I could take this beautiful noggin and put it into something, that's what we're talking about here. Is there might be some of those areas that just you're not quite sure how to put down on paper or how to delegate and demonstrate and document. That's okay. Continue to figure out over time, but use AI in the areas where that's not the case. Okay, so this is all about like an intentional design and purpose. Analyze your strengths and your weaknesses and augment yourself and your expertise. So something that I was pretty good at, right? So I'll give you a great use case for me specifically that I used. My IT background, I have a really, really good sense of both business acumen and also information technology. Um, and overall, what the pain points are from customers, because I've worked my way up through the IT ladder, talked to a lot of people, I'm pretty personable, so on and so forth. Uh, so I used AI to actually brainstorm with me as a business partner, creating the business plan for a managed service provider. So taking my IT services outside of my current company and expanding our customer umbrella. And it was awesome because like while I knew what customers wanted, like I had countless arguments with AI about pricing strategy. What about this? Well, here's the pros and cons. And then it would point out the flaws in my argument, and being like a brainstorm partner and knowing that you already have a really good sense of something or really deep expertise in something, it can not only match or exceed that expertise, but simply provide a different perspective that's super awesome and super unique, and honestly will make you go, aha. And even if its perspective is incorrect, if it's a new one, still keep it in the bank because it still might be useful in another scenario given the surrounding context. Okay. So here's the issue, right? Is ultimately what is happening is this is causing both a lot of job creation, but also a lot of layoffs. The layoffs piece I'm actually going to talk about next. So I want to focus on the job creation. Okay. Because this is where there's a lot of potential. And I would say that this is going to be mid to senior career professionals. This is the target because early career professionals, you don't have expertise. Sorry to break it to you, cold-hearted truth. Okay. So if you're somebody by mid-career, I'm going to say at least, let's say 7 years in. So if you're coming out of high school, you're talking 25, you're coming out of college, maybe 30, 31, depending on whether or not you did master's or PhD. But people who are mid-career professionals are who's going to be impacted by this and can leverage this. Okay. And so what you want to do is you want to do two things. So you want to look at job postings that are out there that are in your role or kind of adjacent to your role, and look at the companies that are using AI or have AI mentioned to find the use cases in there. Okay. And then turn that into your use cases to augmenting your expertise. Learn to use AI to research and assist and brainstorm and make you better at what you're at, right? You're trying to take this and turn it into an upskill with massive upside and intention, right? So let's say that you are really good at project management when it comes to the meticulous planning, milestone side, etc. But maybe your stakeholder communication isn't as good. So you can use AI to analyze all of the project and documentation that you're awesome at and give it the context and keep it updated on the progress. But then maybe when you have to do your weekly report, right? Hey, I don't know how to convey this message. Like, we hit this roadblock. The roadblock is because this particular individual is not performing well. And because they're not performing well, it's holding up the rest of the project. It's going to hurt the budget. I'm not quite sure how to have this conversation, but I want to make the stakeholders aware that I'm going to have the conversation, and maybe offer up and ask for some opportunity for them to coach me on how to have this conversation. Boom, it now has all the context it needs from the project, from the impact, the responsibility of this person, because you are good at project management. But now you're expanding your difficult conversation repertoire by having AI help you communicate that and open the opportunity, right? You can then even say, can you help me practice this conversation as well? Because it has all the context. It makes it a very easy transition. So you want to use it to both true up your weaknesses and facilitate your strengths. And really, it should rapidly upskill yourself. Something that I just recently learned. I'm getting more and more into the software development world, where I have a much more traditional IT infrastructure background. And so I took a bunch of Udemy courses and classes on software architecture. Then I went over to AI and I was like, hey, I want you to tell me applications to build. I'm going to build some architectures and feed you my architecture. And then I want to talk about why it's good, why it's bad. And so now I get rapid iteration and feedback from AI acting as a expert, veteran, 20-year deep software architect that has an immense amount of knowledge across an immense amount of industries. And it can point out the flaws in my architecture or tell me what I did well and what was nice and what was good and what was bad and all of that stuff. So it can really rapidly iterate your repetitions and upskilling capabilities. And then this allows you to then update your resume, your LinkedIn, your cover letters, your overall public persona and portrayal to being AI augmented and a very, very valid AI authority. And that's what we're trying to do here, is position yourself as AI augmented talent, but both within your company and outside your company. Okay. Now, this is also spurring a lot of layoffs. So that's how to take advantage of the opportunity. Now we're on to the negative. And when you look at this, I want to stress two different pieces of data points. Okay. Which is that there have been massive layoffs. We're talking tens of thousands of jobs strictly attributable to AI thus far in 2025. And so while that number can be kind of daunting, that there's been tens of thousands of layoffs here in the US, I also want to point out the companies that are doing it, because it's not just tech companies. Well, some of these are definitely going to be, but I want to list off this total list of companies, okay? GM, Zopper, Turo, Gupshup, Fordo, Microsoft, Five9, Google, Microsoft, Automatic, Canva, Northvolt, Block, Bright Cove, Axiom, Sequoia Capital, Siemens, HelloFresh, Atorio, ActiveFence, DID, NASA, Zonar, Wayfair, HPE, TikTok, LiveRamp, Ola Electric, Rec Room, ANS Commerce, HP, Grubhub, Autodesk, Google, Nautilus, eBay, Starbucks, Commerce Tools, Dayforce, Expedia, Skybox Security, HerMD, Zendesk, Vendease, Logically, Blue Origin, Redfin, Sophos, Zeps, Unity, JustWorks, Bird, Sprinklr, Sonos, Workday, Okta, Cruise, Salesforce, Cushion, Placer, Amazon, Stripe, Textio, Pocket FM, Aurora Solar, Meta, Wayfair, Pandion, Icon, Altruist, Aqua Security, Solar Edge, and Level. As you saw, there's companies in there like HelloFresh, and that's not technology at all, but they're laying off directly due to AI. Now the question is, who's being laid off? Who are we talking about? Middle management, non-coders, and general operational roles. These are the three places that AI is facilitating very, very well. Now, while AI isn't replacing middle managers, what it's doing is allowing individual contributors to be much more successful on task and efficient, and also allowing more managers and leaders to take on more direct reports, removing layers of management because they can be more efficient with their coaching, mentoring, one-on-ones, etc. Non-coders is just because companies are looking for more customized, dedicated AI solutions. So they're trading the value of non-code-based positions for code-based positions in order to create software and AI applications that they're betting on will ramp up their revenue. Okay. And then general operational roles. So think back office, think data analytics potentially, things like this, to where it's a pretty finite, robust task, but you can build AI to do it. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. While these are the people affected now, this part of the video is not just for them. No role in white collar is safe, period. Blue collar is only safe until robotics and AI become affordable and public. Okay. So I need you to approach this entire section with you are at risk. Okay. So, really, if you were to extend your time horizon, I'm going to boil it down to surviving the next 5 years. Straight up means becoming visibly and publicly indispensable and irreplaceable. And while everybody technically is replaceable, that is your job starting today, to become indispensable and irreplaceable. This does not mean that you do your 40 hours, you check your boxes, and you check out. That is literally the antithesis. You will be the first one on the chopping block. It doesn't mean you got to work 60, 70 hours, but it means if you're going to put in your 40 hours and check out, your output better be like you worked 70, 80 hours. That's the key. Okay. So you want to shift to a value creation mode, generate revenue, reduce risk, save man hours, create customer value and impact and experiences that were unthought of, unheard of, and produced outsized returns. Your job is to create value, period. End of story. I will also say, along with this, never stop job searching. I don't care how comfortable you are. I don't care if you're a 12-year vet at your company with 4 promotions and everybody loves you and perfect performance reviews. Always be in the job market. Always be updating yourself, both from a paper perspective and a skill perspective, okay? Because you want to be demonstrating value, but you also want to know that you are valued. And in the event that anything happens, you are ready to pivot. Okay. But you need to take a value creation first approach. Okay. The second is going to be really, really, really mastering communication and critical thinking. Okay. Learn to ask better questions, have difficult conversations, present and frame problems with solutions alongside them. Okay. AI is to a certain point where it cannot yet replicate contextual judgment without you providing it the contextual judgment. But that does not mean that you prevent giving AI contextual judgment in order to do the job better, because someone who is willing to do that to make their life better, faster, stronger, so that they can drive more value is going to replace you. That's the thing. Okay. So you need to not look at like, oh, how do I slow down my company's AI progress to save myself? No, it's how do I use AI so that I have more time, I have more energy, and I have more skills to drive more value, right? That's what you're looking to do. Okay. And you also, while I always go back and forth, like in terms of this next one, but it's my conservative mindset, I will tell you, is having a plan B and C when it comes to your career. Okay. Continue on your plan A, continue focusing on upskilling, continue focusing on the value creation and focusing on communication and critical thinking. But have a plan B, whether that's doing a side hustle, whether that's, building a side business, whether that's freelancing, whatever it might be. Have a plan C, where maybe that's transitioning careers entirely. Like, I just got into this finance thing when I was young and it's not really what I want to do and it doesn't interest me, but I got to a point where it just pays the bills. Well, guess what? You might be getting to a point where it ain't paying the bills. So have a plan C maybe. So like just have a couple little degrees of separation and be preparing a few hours a week into those plan Bs and plan Cs. Okay. And let's do a quick recap on that section because I know that it was a lot. It was kind of 2 trends merging in one. So the one trend was AI augmented expertise, being able to use AI to make yourself better at what you do already and fill your skill gaps. And this is really, really impacting your mid-career and higher professionals. And so what you want to do is you want to go look at job roles, look at industry trends to identify what people are doing in your role and how they're using AI. Then you want to develop the AI implementation in your own world. And then you also want to identify what are the skills that you need to level up to compete with the senior roles or getting to the next level, and using AI to help you augment and actually go through those upskill opportunities. Have it present real world case studies and projects for you to build. Okay. And then overall, publicly position yourself as an AI augmented talent with your resume, LinkedIn, and cover letter. Then we have the mass layoffs. Like I said, tens of thousands of jobs. I don't know how many companies I rattled off, but the long story short is this is going to be affecting everyone. I do not care what your role, what your seniority, but you need to make sure you're taking a value creation mode first mindset. Generate revenue, reduce risk, save man hours, create customer experiences beyond belief, etc. Master critical thinking and communication, and ultimately have a plan B, plan C, maybe plan D around freelancing, career transition, skill development, etc., just in case. And as the bonus tip there, never leave the job market. I don't care how happy, hunky-dory, awesome you are. Keep applying, keep putting yourself out there, and that way you are ready to move should anything change in your world. Okay? And our last and final trend here, which is going to be the lovely chaos of political policy decisions. So when you are looking at the US policies of tariffs and protectionism and kind of everything that's going on there with the trade wars, etc. This is going to be a catch-22, but it's going to buy some people some time from the first four trends, because the first four trends are really about AI creating opportunity, AI causing layoffs, AI displacement. So here's what I want to get people's heads around, right? Is some of you kind of straddle that white collar, blue collar. Maybe you're in manufacturing on the assembly line. Maybe you're in quality control on the front lines. Like maybe you're in a service industry of some kind, right? You are safe for a little bit. And a lot of the US policies around tariffs and things are trying to bring manufacturing home, bring bring manufacturing and tech and assembly and things like that here. But ultimately, that's all still going to be at risk of AI and robotics in the future. So here's what I'm going to say is if you are in one of these industries, whether it be energy, manufacturing, automotive, et cetera, that's a lot of the US investment and tariffs and things are trying to bring, and somewhat successfully is forcing investment that has been agreed to here, know that that just extends your time clock. Do not take that as a saving grace of going, oh, I'm good for the next 20 years. You're not, right? It's a temporary improvement and safety net, but that's all it is. Okay. So people who are in these kind of declining sectors and subsidized sectors, more importantly, by the government, know that yes, you're extending yourself, but do not bet on them. Okay. The only thing that you can bet on is the future. And guess what? Government subsidies and government assistance is not the future, right? AI and robotics are coming. Okay. So you want to move to industries and job roles like software development, like blue collar trades, like AI, renewable energy, quantum computing, aerospace, cybersecurity, right? Like these industries and roles and things that are going to be just ever growing for the time being. Okay. That's what you want to do. So going back to what I was saying before of having that plan B and C, where plan A is just make yourself right now, but awesome. Okay. Plan B might be, like I said, doing some freelancing, some side hustle, creating some additional income so that maybe you can actually like retire faster or set yourself up to absorb these trends a little bit easier, whatever it might be. But plan C is a career transition. Identify, take personality tests, analyze yourself as to what it is that you might want to do and create a path of how to get there and slowly chip away at it. Okay. Build your network. Your network is your net worth. I said it earlier in this conversation, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Okay. And the other interesting thing to point out here is don't just think locally, right? Think nationwide. Think a global network, right? Interact with other English first or primary or highly English speaking countries. Or if you're multilingual, great, right? But connect and build a network in a variety of countries. Because while right now US policy is very US focused and bringing people back, tech and AI and these things are still going to be a global market. You're still going to have companies that are international with offices and things in other countries. So building networks in other places is going to be huge. Okay. And that's really what you want to do here is do take the sigh of relief of the investments we're getting from both international companies, foreign countries, and the tariff negotiations and things that are happening, you could take a breath. But take that breath, exhale, and begin to develop your plan B and C, and still ultimately make yourself the best plan A possible. Okay? So that's what I want you to look at here. So if you found this valuable, down below will be a link to my school community. I'm trying to build a community of like-minded professionals. I will be releasing master classes, guides, templates, etc. in there as time goes on. I'm going to shoot to try to have one big release in that school community per week for probably the next few months to really try and ramp up the value there. But I want to bring together the audiences that I have across all the different social media because, again, I mentioned networking 3 times in this video. I want to help you all build a network of like-minded, high-performing professionals that are thinking forward and want to be their best selves. Okay, so join the school community. If you have any feedback to the content, to the video, or have any questions, clarifications, etc., leave a comment below. I respond to every single comment every time. Check the track record. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. I release 2 shorts per day at least, with at least 2 long forms per week. Okay. I'm also live on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and X. And in addition to that, I also write blogs as well on both my LinkedIn newsletter as well as my website, promotedresume.com. So I appreciate you joining me today. Without further ado, until next time, thank you.